Welcome back. Governor of Enugu State, Peter Mba, has commended the security agencies, especially the Nigerian Army, for improved security and end to sit at home in the state, assuring that his administration will not let down its guard. The governor gave the commendation when he received the general officer commanding 82 Division of the Nigerian Army, Enugu, Major General Hassan Dada, at the government house on Tuesday. He said the improved security would aid his administration's promise to grow the state's economy in an unprecedented manner, as the growth was going to come from the private sector investment. This was even as the Army has reiterated that security could only get better given the level of resources and manpower deployed in the state, assuring citizens of their safety as they go about their businesses.
But I want to believe, while we discussed earlier, there is no doubt there is an improvement over the last 2-3 weeks. And I can only assure you, sir, with the support of my boss, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Defense Staff, that things can only get better. So it's on this note that I felt me and my team, we should just come and familiarize ourselves with you and seek for your further support and that of the good people of Enugu State, as well as the traditional rulers, so that peace will be returned. Together we can return peace to the state and other southeastern states.
We believe with what we have seen so far that you have the character and the competence to bring that to bear. We want to, on our part, assure you that as government, we are going to continue to collaborate with you and other security agencies to ensure that we maintain this peace that we're enjoying in Enugu State and other states in the southeast.
Well, Arise News security analyst Dr. Kabir Adamu joins us now to discuss measures needed to reclaim the southeast from non-state actors. Many thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Cynthia. Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well, Dr. Adamu. Now that IPOB has basically changed what was labeled as the sit-at-home, and it's now being called the Empowerment Days in the Southeast, is this an indicator that the approach would need to change drastically when it comes to dealing with non-state actors?
No, definitely. The kind of non-state actors in the Southeast, their requirement is slightly different. At the point, the requirement was for secession. And then the method they were using to achieve that requirement has been changing over time. When they started the sit-at-home order, the part of what they mentioned they wanted to achieve was to show that they're able to govern even in absentia, as it were, and of course weaken the official government, as it were. The second part was to also kill the local economy, and in doing that, show that both the central and the state government were incapable of providing for the people. So if we recognize that that is their objective, then definitely the strategy would need to change as well, so that order is reestablished, assurances are given to the people, and then more importantly, we're able to win the hearts and minds of the people. It's only by doing that that you can reduce the influence that a non-state actor is able to exercise.
Indeed, Dr. Adamu. Now, there's been subtle protest by people of the region on forced sit-at-home scenarios. Yet some still support Mr. Ekpa and co., perhaps out of fear. I'd like your take on that.
So there are multitude of reasons why a group like the indigenous people of Biafra is able to strive over time. And I would like to start with the perception and the reality of marginalization in the Southeast. I think anyone who is either a study or is interested in developments in Nigeria is well aware that the Southeast is feeling either marginalized in one way or the other. In some instances, you may find credibility in that claim. In certain instances, it is a tool for mobilization by politicians. I mean, just recently, the president named his likely cabinet. And part of the conversation you're hearing is that the Southeast is the most underrepresented region in the country. So it is discussions like that and conversations like that that allow groups like IPOB to mobilize. And so that reality, whether it's a fact or it's not factual, I think is what is really important for the government to look into and then attempt to either reduce that narrative, as it were, so that a counter narrative is put forward to show, for instance, that some of what is being claimed is not exactly correct. As an example, we know that especially under the immediate past administration, he did a lot in terms of infrastructural development for the Southeast, probably more than his own region, that's the Northwest. And so when you hear that type of criticism, you know that maybe there is no basis to it. And my point is that strategic communication geared towards reducing this perception and the reality of marginalization is absolutely important.
Now, more on that, Dr. Adamu, talking about this perception and potential reality of marginalization. Regarding what should contribute or constitute the strategic communication that you're referring to, can you enlighten us on what you'd like to see that could change that narrative?
So I think there are 4 components to what I would call a multifaceted approach to solving the security conundrum in the Southeast. Number 1, and at the top of the radar, is engagement. Engagement with, I would start with a stakeholder mapping. Identify the different components of players within the crisis in the Southeast, and then start an engagement that builds consensus, builds an idea of acceptance, especially for the central government and to an extent the state government. And how do you do that? It is by addressing the socio-economic challenges that is affecting the people of the Northeast. Issues around poverty, issues around employment, the youth bulge, infrastructure challenges and all of that. So strategic communication around building that type of engagement. Number 2 is to strengthen the rule of law, especially the administration of criminal justice, where offenders are identified, they are arrested, and then they are prosecuted. Now, in that regard, I would strongly advise that the military takes the backseat. If we're going to strengthen the administration of criminal justice, the military can play a role, but not necessarily. What we need are the internal security organizations. Let them strengthen intelligence and use intelligence to identify the root causes, the perpetrators, and so that they're able to arrest them and present them in competent courts of jurisdiction so that they are prosecuted in a manner where they are found they are not guilty, then they are released. The third point is the law itself. Right now, part of the narrative that is driving the crisis is the continued arrest of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now, I believe the government would need to conduct perhaps an investigation, identify where that case is. Part of what we're hearing is that the immediate past administration sought a stay of execution on the order for his release on bail. Now, if that is the situation, what is the next step? And that should be done in a manner that is demonstrable, fairness, equity, and justice, so that whoever is involved sees that we're following the process of the law. And then the last one is political engagement. Now, political engagement so that every player, every politician, every member of the society, especially those that the elites, are able to see that it is only by peace that they're able to have the kind of development. And I'm very happy with the statement by the Enugu state governor. You cannot have development if you don't have peace. So political engagement that explains that. Now it is all of these 4 points, strategic engagement around all of these 4 points that build on equity, diversity, and inclusion would definitely provide the platform for solving the security conundrum in the Southeast.
Very good, and I'm glad you emphasize the issue of optimal use of intelligence. We've mentioned that so many times in different theaters in this forum. Dr. Kabiru Adamu, a Rise News security analyst, I'd like to thank you very much for your thoughts on those issues. Good to have you with us.